the Jackson PC1. I've owned it for 25 years, and it's in kind of its original platform. I don't know when the first Jackson PC1 was made. I don't know when Jackson and Phil Collen did that, but it was designed for Phil Collen at Def Leppard. I'll go over some of the guitar, and at the end of the video I'll just do kind of an outro, a play along, audio to video matching, where I'll just kind of perform a little bit on the guitar. Nothing too theatrical. It's kind of a bluesy type piece. It's very Strat-like. It's got a very Strat-like feel to it. It came off a Fender Stratocaster and went into this guitar, and there was no trouble transitioning over. I still like my Fender Strats, and I have several different kinds of guitars, even the Gibson style and a lot of others, that I'm not partial just to Jackson. Of course, I come from that kind of era of Def Leppard, but I ordered this guitar more or less for its features. I just liked, when I started reading on it, how it was put together and what it was. And, I guess the fact that it's a signature model from Phil Collen was just, kind of icing on top of the cake. Come with a nice molded case that keeps it tight. You can see the imprint. I got this paperwork down here that came with it that tells you all about the sustainer, what the guitar is made out of, some back history and story on Phil Collen. This is a care and maintenance card. I don't know if the camera can quite pick that up. Yeah, the pickups are DiMaggio, and this is Tranburst blue, or chlorine color, I guess they call it. Neck dress was Lance, assembly was Mark. And the wiring was a Skip. And the setup, there's just some initials there, and it was the date that it was completed, and the final inspection was the first month, 22nd day of 1998. It's heavily played, so it's lost some of its luster and shininess and things like that. These gold colored knobs and stuff are kind of tarnished from being used. Right here there's some markings where I kind of rest my hand when I play. It was my primary guitar for playing for quite some time, so it's been through its trials. The neck, from being oiled and worked on, and it's had fret filing, and just over the years it changed its color. It was much brighter at one point in time. Not quite the color of the stock, but pretty close. The body on this guitar is made from Hawaiian koa, and I know they were changed to mahogany sometime after, and I don't know if this particular model, if you would get it in mahogany, I don't know, but maybe it was an option back then. I'm not sure, but my paperwork that I got in the case states that it's Hawaiian koa, and that's the way I ordered it anyway. So the serial number on the guitar is 004720, and it's got a 1/8 of an inch quilted maple top molded, and you can see the mold there to rest your arm on, and on the back it rests against the body. Sits on the leg really nice. It's got a hard rock maple neck and a maple top. When you get it, you get the keys in the back as well, stuff like that. There's a little light and indicator back here. When you plug the guitar in, it will flash red to let you know your batteries are good. If it stays on, it's things are not good. You need to change them out. The little red light that will come on to let you know about your batteries. You can see it through the cover. A little brain for the sustainer back there, and these are kind of wired right into it. That's what it looks like inside. Looks like wiring havoc, but I don't go in here usually unless I need to for something. And I've never really had to mess with it, so don't take the cover off often. And if you bought this guitar new, or when I bought it new, there was just a notice that if you took this off and it wasn't a Jackson tech that did it, it would void your warranties. So there's the sustainer, and the 5-way switch, a couple of pots that you have, obviously, and a spring's been removed from here because of just the way I play. I guess I prefer to have the strings a little looser so I can bend them easier. So removing a spring or just setting it up that way was necessary, just my playing habits. The battery pots, which are right back here, they just open up a little clip on the back, and they will stand all the way up, and then the battery's inside. But I've had to take all 4 screws out and pull this off, and push the tabs down with a small screwdriver just lightly, and that way the batteries seat against them better. Some batteries are thicker than others, and if you leave the guitar plugged in, you will drain these. So you want to be unplugging the guitar after you're done playing it. It will play and perform without, you know, if the batteries are dead. It'll just play like a regular guitar. You just won't have the sustainer. But you can spend a lot of money in batteries if you don't unplug the guitar or shut the sustainer off. It's got a Floyd Rose tremolo in it, and you can dive bomb it and pull it, and this thing it stays in tune. It locks up really nicely. So the sustainer's right here. It's the first one. The second one is harmonic. You turn that on and it'll really squeal. And if your batteries are good and you turn this on, it'll ring, just keep on ringing. You can leave it there on the stand and go do a load of laundry if you want. When you come back, it'll still be ringing the same note, chiming the same note as when you left. This is an intensity knob right here that, you know, makes the signal stronger or a little bit weaker for pulling it back for volume. You might have someone, or you might have a bad experience with this guitar or may not like it. I don't know anybody else that owns one in my friend group, so you know, I can only speak, I guess, from my own perspective. The guitar has certainly seen some trials over its time being played, so I have to give you a quick back history. I applied for a job, got the job, and actually had to get out of town kind of for the next day. They needed me, really, 4 hours away from home. So the guitar went into a storage unit along with a bunch of other stuff that I owned. The heaters quit in that unit, and it was in there for over a year. And we live in Alberta, Canada, so the temperatures, very dry winters we can get. There's very extreme weather changes. You know, we get all 4 seasons kind of hard. So I thought the guitar would be kind of done for or damaged, but I picked it out of the case and it played, but it was a little bit out. And that type of thing, not without the heat, but you know, I had to store it in various places because of my work history. It finally took its toll on the neck, and the neck basically just needed an adjustment. It kind of moved, and the guitar needed a proper setup. So I brought it to a shop to get it adjusted and get a setup done. And I don't want to say anything bad about guitar techs out there. I know they don't make a lot of money and they work on a time crunch. But this is a place that was recommended to me by a friend, and I went there. I dropped the guitar off. I went back and picked the guitar up, you know, just out of trust, basically, and paid for the guitar, actually, paid for the setup. And nothing had changed on the guitar. It was still the same as when I dropped it off. When I did more investigation, they had gotten into the nut back here, into the truss rod, and used the wrong key probably a couple of times and ended up stripping it really bad, and it couldn't be adjusted. So I didn't want to drill out the guitar or do anything with it. I wanted to keep the original parts. And the other option was to take the fretboard off. I wasn't going to tackle that job myself. I found a guy at a wood shop through a friend that actually was a guitar luthier. Yeah, I could tell he really loved instruments, and I could see what he was doing. He was very familiar with these types of necks, and because he kind of been building his own Strat style guitars, and he actually took the fretboard off. So the fretboard was removed. He pulled out the truss rod, replaced the truss rod, put the fretboard back on, and adjusted the guitar. He has since passed away, which is terrible. He was a wonderful person, but yeah, he was really good at what he did, and he did an amazing job. And he was a really great guy. So a short time after, I wanted another setup done, so I brought it to another tech that I know is a good friend, a Langdon Guitar Repair, and he set the guitar up for me. It does have a lot of history with me, so it's very special to me. And it's probably still the most expensive guitar that I personally own currently. I'd like to have a John Petrucci Majesty, but we all know, if you're anything like me out there, we all can't afford those things. we need to discipline ourselves when we walk into music stores and you come out spending a mortgage payment before you know it. So I tried to do a review on this guitar earlier, and this is what happened. So it looks like we've had a power outage, so I'll get back to it as soon as the lights come on. At least one of my background lights are battery operated. Some things that you might not like about the guitar, I'm adjusted to it, I don't mind it, but definitely if I was looking for speed in the guitar, grabbing different tones and wanted to flick that switch, the volume knob gets in the way. And when I play this guitar, I tend to look over it a lot, and I'm always operating things down here, and I'll actually, unless I'm flicking the switch all the way over or up, which can be quicker, but if I want to center it or anything, I don't do it without looking, because I can't get by the volume knob. It was designed for Phil Collen of Def Leppard, so if that's how he plays it, then obviously they made it that way and he likes it that way. The thickness of the neck is very Strat-like neck on it, or maybe a Music Man Cutlass. I've only ever played one, I think, but I do believe they have a thicker kind of neck. The weight of the guitar, it's a little bit heavy, and again, not something that bothered me, but some people don't like a heavy guitar. So if those types of things would bother you, then it wouldn't be your unit. The dots on the fretboard are on the top, right there, you can see them. And you know, if you're in a dark environment, I can see that it would bug some guys. But if I were to buy a guitar now, it would have the markings on the fretboard. You know, things like that. The switch would be, and the volume knob would be separated, so I wouldn't have to worry about that. And you know, because I guess over time, just my taste in certain things have changed. But definitely when I pick it off the wall, I'm quickly reminded of what it is and how to play it, and the muscle memory comes back to you quite quickly. And this play along portion you're going to see here is more of a bluesy tinge to it. It's kind of a partial clean sounds, a little bit of fuzz on there, and a little bit of pong delay. And I'll try and get through the guitar as best I can, and use the sustainers, the intensity knob, and the 5-way switch, and so you can kind of hear the flavor of the guitar. Well, that's it for the review. I think I've kind of covered everything on the guitar that was necessary. I'm sure there's a few things I missed, but hopefully there's something about the video that you liked. So if you've tuned in, thanks very much, and maybe we'll catch you on another one. Take care.